I think we all have that one special video game of our childhood. That game that brings back fond memories. Probably you played it on the PlayStation 1 or maybe the PlayStation 2 or in the NES. This is one of those games. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to Star Wars Battlefront 2. Star Wars Battlefront 2 is a game released in 2005. And yes, before I continue, this game is not the same as Battlefront 2 released by DICE, the one that was released in 2017. That's a totally different game. I might make a video about it someday though. Regardless, the 2005 Battlefront 2 was developed by Pandemic Studios and published by LucasArts. It wasn't the first time that Pandemic Studios worked in a Star Wars game though. They had previously worked on Star Wars The Clone Wars, a 2002 game released for the PS2, in which you mainly control vehicles from the series. Perhaps fueled by that experience, in 2004 Pandemic Studios releases Star Wars Battlefront, a game where you could play as either a clone, a droid, a rebel, or a stormtrooper, in large maps with a dozen of units battling at the same time. You could also utilize vehicles, both terrestrial and aerial. The game was well received and is another nostalgic game that I played during my childhood. The game was great, very fun, and you can play for hours and hours with no end. The very next year, the devs released Star Wars Battlefront 2. Clearly, from the title alone, you can tell that this is a sequel to the original, and oh boy what a good sequel it was. This game basically kept all the good of the first, while adding new and exciting features. To begin with, one of the coolest new things they added was the possibility to now use Jedis and Siths. That's right, in the first game, Jedis and Siths were present, but you couldn't play with them. They were also super overpowered, which was pretty funny. Now you can use Jedis and Siths freely. As you might imagine, these characters are much more capable than regular soldiers. The lightsaber can kill any unit almost immediately. They can throw it like a boomerang. They can run at high speeds, which is another feature that wasn't in the first game. And they can jump really high. To balance this, these special characters can only be used after you've accumulated a certain amount of points. Finally, there's a large selection of heroes from the movies. You got Obi-Wan, Mace Windu, Yoda, Luke, Leia, Ben Solo, etc. For the Siths, you got Anakin, Darth Vader, Darth Sidious, Darth Maul, among others. However, despite how cool it is to play with these heroes, in my opinion, the game shines with the regular gameplay. Let's talk about it. You can play in large maps, quite large for the time actually. There is a variety of maps, all taking place in different locations from the universe. Some that I like to highlight are Hoth, Mustafar, Naboo, Kamino, and the Death Star. You can choose to play in two different periods of time, either during the Clone Wars, where clone soldiers fight droids, or during the Galactic Civil War, with stormtroopers against rebels. There are different game modes. The most basic consists of a battle with control points that need to be captured, also capture the flag, etc. The gameplay itself is simple yet fun. You'll be able to choose from different units: a regular soldier, an engineer, one with a bazooka, a sniper, and 2 extra classes. Each faction has its own series of extra classes. For example, the clones have a guy with a jetpack and one with a Gatling gun. Awesome. And the droids have arguably the coolest unit in the game, the droid Dega. Which can make itself into a ball, roll at high speed, has a freaking shield, which is amazing, and 2 blasters that are basically machine guns. You have a campaign mode, which follows the story of the movies from the perspective of a soldier belonging to the 501st Legion, a legion commandeered by Anakin Skywalker himself. It is divided in different chapters. It is a simple game mode, but it works and it is fun. Also, you have a strategy game, which is interesting. You have to conquer planets in the galaxy to win the game. You can manage your credits and movements, and it is a turn-based game. It kinda reminds me of the campaign mode of the Total War games. And finally, you have the space battles. Of course, this game introduced battles in space, where you control a spaceship. You start from a capital ship, and you have to destroy the opponents. For that, you have roughly two different approaches. You can either destroy the ship from the outside by bombing the crap out of it, or from the inside by infiltrating inside and taking out different systems. You had a selection of spacecrafts, the most basic being the Starfighter, simple and straightforward. The Interceptor has little armor, but it is really fast. It's quite hard to use though. The Bomber allows you to, well, use bombs, great for destroying capital ships, but it is quite slow. And the Transport is the most powerful and slowest one. It allows you to have multiple people in it, good for infiltration. The space battles are absolutely amazing. Imagine War Thunder, but for the PS2, with Star Wars crafts, and without the grinding and toxic pay-to-win aspect. It is really fun, and for my 10-year-old brain, it was the most fun thing ever. I'd argue that space battles were so good that many people remember this game mainly for them, and not other stuff. But I don't know. Of course, not everything is perfect. And while there are some small issues here and there, I feel like the biggest problem is the enemy AI. It's mediocre at best and downright stupid at worst. You get used to it, but it is disappointing, since it stains the single player experience. But regardless of the flaws, I love this game. For me, personally, it's one of those games that you can pop back in and play it again, like when you were a kid. For the most part, you probably won't get bored playing this game since there are so many things to do. But even if you do get bored, you can always go back to ModDB and download any of these bad boys. I personally haven't tried any of them, but I encourage you to try them. Well, that's about it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have some memory back from this game, in case you played it before. Let me know in the comments. See you guys. Wait, what the hell?